Associate Registrar Recruitment and Admissions here in the Faculty of Information, and we are very excited to welcome you to our Information Day today. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're coming from. I can see that everyone is joining from a lot of really great places, and it's so great to have such a wide variety and group of people joining us today. And we're very excited to talk to you about our master's programs. So this particular session that you are attending is for our Masters of Information and Masters of Museum Studies. We're going to go through admissions. We're going to talk about careers. If you are looking to attend the Bachelor of Information session, that is also going on right now in another room. So you would have received a link for that if that's where you want to be. But hopefully everyone is in the right place. So following our admissions and careers session, you will have the opportunity to hear from some of our faculty members and then join different breakout rooms to learn a bit more about our programs and our concentrations in more detail. So before I get started, just a few housekeeping notes. So the session is being recorded, and we are going to share that with you, the recording with everybody who has registered. So if you are uncomfortable with that, you can send us an email through our email address, which we'll share with you in a little bit, and I can answer your questions after this session. The other thing is, if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, I ask that you please use the Q&A button found at the very bottom of your screen. It'll say Q&A. Please keep all of your questions there so it's easier to keep track of and we don't lose them. If you are having technical difficulties or for any other reason that you need to connect with us, you can use the chat feature. But again, please have all your questions in the Q&A section because we want to make sure that we are answering everybody's questions. So that is it for housekeeping. I'm going to move on. So that's me. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. If you can't, please let me know. So before I continue, I would like to do a land acknowledgement. So we wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So hopefully, again, you are able to also see the screen. And if you can't, please, again, let me know as well. Okay, so as I mentioned, we are going to be focusing specifically on our Masters of Information and Masters of Museum Studies programs. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on this slide because you are going to hear a bit more about it from our faculty members in the next session. But I just kind of wanted to give you a brief overview of the different program options, the pathways available for each of our programs, and then we're going to talk in more detail about the admissions process for each of these specific programs. So first, important dates. So the application is open. Hopefully you've already started your application and have either submitted it or close to submitting it because the deadline is February 8th. So that means that all of your supporting documents, including letters of recommendation, do have to be in by that February 8th deadline. If you are having trouble meeting that, please get in contact with us right away to see what some of your options are. But again, that deadline is February 8th for both programs, the Masters of Information and Masters of Museum Studies program. So for admission, what are we looking for? We do accept students from all academic backgrounds. That's probably one of the greatest strengths of our program is that we do have a representation from students from all different types of academic backgrounds. So we have students from, psychology, from engineering, from finance, history, English, linguistics, all over. So we are looking for roughly around a mid-B average, and we calculate that in two ways. So we either take your CGPA, so your entire 4 years or your entire undergraduate degree, or your final year only, and we take whichever of the two is highest. The final year is going to include your senior level courses only. So it's going to be a year's worth of third or fourth year courses, and that is how we calculate that final year average. And so we'll take whichever of those two is highest because we want to put you in the best light possible. We do review files on a holistic basis, which means we do consider your entire application equally when making admission decisions. In terms of your transcripts, what you're submitting, we're looking for your unofficial transcripts at this point. So if you are a U of T student or alumni, you can log into Acorn and you can download your academic history and upload that to your applicant portal. And then for any other student, you can just upload a copy of your transcript or your academic history, your grade report into your application as well. And we will use that to make an admission decision. So if you are offered admission, that offer will be conditional upon receiving your official transcript. The official transcript will be due at the end of August. And there are different ways that you could submit the official transcript. It has to come directly from your institution, either by mail or electronically to our email at admissions.ischool@utoronto.ca. Again, we'll share that email with you a little later. A lot of institutions are allowing for third-party platforms such as MyCreds or Parchment. That is perfectly acceptable as well. Just make sure that it is being specifically sent to admissions.ischool@utoronto.ca. For references, we are looking for 2 academic letters of recommendation. So these would be, so once in your applicant portal, you would provide us with the email address of your referees. And as soon as you save that information into your application, they will automatically receive a referee form to complete. The first part of the referee form, they're going to be asked to rate you on certain skills like your communication skills, your research skills, your analytical skills, and things like that. And then at the very bottom, they'll have a chance to provide a letter of recommendation for you or expand on the reference for you there. And then that automatically gets saved to your applicant portal once they've completed that document. And if you have been out of school for more than 5 years, we will accept professional references instead. So if you do submit professional references, just make sure that you talk to them about including information that is more relevant towards a master's level program rather than focusing on workplace success. So you want them to focus on skills like your communication, writing, speaking skills, your research skills, your creativity, initiative, and things like that. And then we're looking for, so your statement of intent, I will talk about on the next slide in a bit more detail. But for those of you who've been educated outside of Canada, we may require a language proficiency test score as well. And again, if you have questions about that, or if you're looking for your eligibility for an exemption on that, you can send us an email and we can talk to you about those possibilities. So essentially, if you have studied in an institution where the language of instruction and examination was conducted in English, you may be able to waive that language proficiency requirement. So your statement of intent, I wanted to focus a bit on this question because we do get a lot of questions about this statement. There are essentially 3 parts to your statement of intent. So if you look on our admissions page, you'll see full details on what we're looking for you to include in this statement. The very first part is going to be your statement of interest. So this is where we're looking for your vision for graduate studies. So why are you interested in this program? What are your career goals and how do you see this program helping you achieve your goals? So it's really going to be looking for that fit within the MI or MMST program. The second part, you're going to choose 2 mandatory questions to answer, and the word count on that is 150 to 200 words each. So for this part, we're really looking for your critical thinking skills, and so those 2 questions are mandatory and have to be answered. And then the other part, the third part, is choosing 2 reflective questions to answer. Again, 150 to 200 words each. And this is where we're looking more for your interpersonal skills and your ability to use your past experiences, your academic, your professional experience in your responses to that. On the website, you're going to see prompts to help guide your thinking, especially for the first part of the statement of interest part of it. You are not required to answer each of those prompts. The first part of it, the 405 to 600 word statement, should be written in essay format rather than like a question answer type format. So we're not looking for you to answer each of those prompts. We're just providing those there to give you an idea of what you can include in that part of your statement and what types of information that you want to talk about in that part of the statement. So it should be more of an essay format type response rather than a Q&A type response. So hopefully that makes sense. And then that is all going to be uploaded as one single document to your applicant portal under the statement of intent or letter, your statement of intent portion of your application in the applicant portal. Before I move on to that, there is a part in the application portal that says if you submit, by submitting your application, you cannot come back and make changes to your file. So that is not completely accurate. I know that it can be a bit misleading. You can most certainly submit your application and make the payment and still come back and make changes to your supporting documents. So your statement of interest, if you want to change references, your resume, that was another part of the application supplementary documents that I missed, your CV or resume, you're going to want to include as well. But all of that can be changed after you've submitted and made your payment. The only part that cannot be changed is your personal information. So your name, your address, your email address. So all that information can be changed after you submit. But please feel free to, feel comfortable to go ahead, submit, make your payment, and then come back and make changes or upload copies of your supplementary material. Just to go back very quickly, for that resume and CV that is required, this is going to be an academic resume or CV, and it differs a little bit from a work CV in terms of there is no page limit typically. So with a work CV, or resume, you're usually limited to about 2 pages. There is no limit. We want you to include anything and everything that you feel is important and that's going to help us get to know you more. So again, we are looking for fit, and any information you feel is going to help us get to know more about your interests, your goals, your research, that can be included in your resume or CV. So it can be as long or as short as you want it to be. You can include your education, you can include your work experience, both paid and unpaid, any clubs or associations you're part of, any scholarships that you may have received, any research projects that you worked on that you think is relevant. So again, include all of that into your resume. So the double blue entry, that is for either current U of T students or U of T alumni, and it's a fast track process. So for the GPA requirement, it's going to be the same as your admission requirement. So either so we calculate it the same way as we would for admission. So either your CGPA or your final year GPA, and we take whichever the two is highest. And to be eligible for double blue pathway, we're looking for about an A- average, which is about a 3.7, either CGPA or final year GPA. And for this, all supporting documents are all still required. So your references, statement, CV or resume, that is all still required. The only difference is you will also submit the double blue interest form. And this just allows us to be able to pull your application out of the pile of applications we receive so that we know you're interested in the double blue pathway. It's a very, very short interest form that you would complete that just says, yes, I'm interested in the double blue pathway. And again, it allows us to pull out your application to fast track it. So essentially you will receive a decision within 2 weeks. So the application, again, is due February 8th. So 2 weeks after that is when you should be able to expect a decision for Double Blue entry applicants. So even if you don't think you're eligible for Double Blue, you can still apply. If you're not eligible for Double Blue, you would just still be considered through the regular application process. So don't worry, it won't it won't impact you negatively at all. And you would just automatically be considered through the regular process. So Double Blue, eligible Double Blue candidates would also receive a $500 entrance award in addition to being considered for any of our other entrance awards as well. So the next steps, you want to keep an eye out on your applicant portal, because that will let you know when, if you are missing any documents such as your letters of recommendation, you want to maybe give them a bit of a nudge if you haven't heard from them yet, and just give them a friendly reminder when the deadline is to submit those references. You can also then see in your applicant portal a decision once it's made. So your letter will be your decision letter will be posted through your applicant portal there. And if you have been admitted to the program, you will follow the next steps outlined in your offer letter, which would include accepting or declining your offer and then paying your deposit to hold your spot. And it'll give you all the instructions that you need to do to secure your place in the program. So very quickly, this slide just kind of gives you an idea of the cost of the program. So being a graduate program, we don't charge per course. You're charged a standard program fee. You can choose to pay this fee either you can choose to pay half of it in the fall, half in the winter, rather than having to pay for the entire year up front. Part-time students, you are still paying the same amount for the program. It's just the amounts are going to be broken down into smaller chunks over a longer period of time. But by the time you graduate, you're still paying the exact same amount that a full-time student would pay. So what that means is you may be left with what's called a balance of degree fee. So if you have, if you didn't pay for the entire cost of the program by the time you graduate, you'll be given one final bill that would be the remaining tuition owed for the program fee. So in terms of financial aid, so students in professional master's programs typically fund their education through a variety of ways. And I've broken it down into three main sectors to kind of make it a bit easier to understand. So first, financial aid is based is usually based on some sort of financial need. Awards are usually merit-based, and then employment on or off campus. So for financial aid, so a lot of our students do have some sort of government loans, such as OSAP. If you are out of province, you can fill out a out of province a financial need form, and that will help us determine that there is financial need there, and hopefully be able to provide you with some scholarships and awards that you would be eligible for through that form. But for OSAP, we get that information, that financial need information. So we have what's called a PMFA, and this is a grant that attempts to fill a portion of that financial gap for full-time students who do receive that maximum amount of government financial aid available, but whose funding doesn't cover all of the university costs. So if the program costs $12,000 and you received $10,000, there's still $2,000 there that you did not receive from OSAP, and we will try to fill that gap by giving you a percentage of that amount that is owed through a grant or bursary that you do not have to pay back. There are emergency grants that are available. So if you do encounter an unexpected emergency situation, like your house flooded, you lost your apartment, you can't pay for food, you can apply for an emergency grant. Students with disabilities. So a student with a permanent disability may receive funds through the Canada Student Grant for persons with disabilities and the Canada Student Grant for services and equipment for persons with disabilities to help with disability-related supports and services. Some of our students also have a line of credit So you may wish to apply for a line of credit through any financial institution that you are most comfortable with. U of T does have a preferred interest rate through the Scotia Professional Plan if you are interested in that. So the second part, awards and scholarships. So I mentioned briefly the automatic entrance scholarships. So you're automatically considered for those with your application to the program. So everybody who applies to the program by that February 8th deadline will automatically be considered for entrance awards and scholarships. Those are strictly merit-based, and you will be notified of those decisions with your offer of admission as well. In addition to the automatic entrance awards, sorry, applicants can also apply for an external government award, such as OGS, the Ontario Graduate Scholarship, or a SSHRC award. These amounts range from $15,000 to about $17,500. But you want to keep an eye out on those deadlines because they're typically different from the deadlines of an application to the program. So if you've missed the deadline for any of those now, you can still apply in your first year of the program to receive for your second year. So don't worry about that. There's still an opportunity for you to be eligible for those external government awards. And then, of course, there are other SGS and faculty awards as well that typically do require an application. So you do want to, again, make sure you're looking to see what those requirements are and what the deadlines are for the specific awards and scholarships that do require a deadline through the School of Graduate Studies website, as well as the University of Toronto Awards Explorer. And then, of course, employment on or off campus. A lot of our students do work part-time to help supplement the cost of the program. There are work study options available. So if you want to work on campus within any of the departments at U of T or even within the iSchool, those positions become available in August. So in terms of when you would hear a decision for admission purposes, so I mentioned Double Blue applicants would hear typically around the second week of February. For all of the applicants, we're hoping to have all decisions communicated by about mid to end of March. So that's kind of the rough timeline of when you could expect to receive a decision on your application. So that is it for me. I am now going to pass it on over to our careers manager, Esmeralda, and she's going to talk to you all about careers.
Thank you, Andrea. Hello, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here today with you and talk a little bit about the career services and work integrated learning within the faculty formation. Next slide. Okay. So as a U of T student, you'll have access to University of Toronto Central Career Exploration Education resources. However, faculty information pays a high importance to the career development of our students. So we have an in-house career services office, and we have career advisors who are going to support you in your career development needs. So once you become a student of faculty information, you'll have access to one-on-one career advising, which may include resume and cover letter review, mock interviews. We'll offer networking events. There will be different workshops related to careers within the faculty. We do have a job site who is more tailored toward full-time employment upon graduation, but there may be contract positions there as well. So these are services that are open to all students, master information students and MMSD students who decide to do work integrated learning, and students who may not decide to do work integrated learning. So all students are welcome to come and meet with our team and discuss their career development and career exploration. In terms of work integrated learning, work integrated learning is an optional opportunity for students. However, as this is a professional master's, it's always important to get into the field before you dive into full-time employment after graduation. So as part of the Master of Information, you have two opportunities to join a work integrated learning opportunity. You can either do the MI co-op option, and this is up to 2 consecutive full-time paid work terms, which can happen in the summer and the fall after you have completed year 1. So there are eligibility requirements in order to be part of the MI co-op, which we'll talk more about it, and we'll have an orientation session once you become a faculty formation student sometime in the late summer and in early September. For you to know, in terms of credits, work integrated learning, you earn one full credit. So if you do a summer co-op, you'll get 0.5 credit, and if you do the fall co-op, you'll get the second credit. In addition, you can have a practicum, and the practicum is 105 hours. It can be paid or unpaid. It's organized in different organizations within UFT, outside of UFT, for profit, not for profit. And you are able to complete a practicum after the first year. So in total, you can have up to 1 credit, and this can be a combination of, for example, let's say if you do in the summer 25, you do a co-op, and you decide to do a practicum in another term. In terms of talent, this is not managed by Career Services, but if you have questions about talent, Andrea will be, and her team will be willing to provide you a lot of information. It's a great opportunity. It is something that comes at the beginning when you decide to join the faculty and you want to join the talent program as well. It is currently limited to only LIS and ARMD concentrations. And if you have an interest in academic libraries, and you consider applying for it. It provides a guaranteed 15 hours per week for the full 2 years of the program, including the summers. If you are doing talent, you are not eligible for co-op as part of the work integrated learning. Okay, this slide here gives you, usually when we do this kind of information sessions, we get a lot of questions about students. Since this is an option for mass information students, how is the interest? How many students decide to pursue a concentration plus a co-op? So we have provided for you information for cohorts of 2021, 2021, 2022, and 2022, 2023. So as you see, there is the same kind of pattern. In the first column, you'll see that the total number of students that have been admitting to the program. So I'll just refer to the most recent year, 2022, 2023. And we have 380 students who were first-year MI students. And of these 381, 272 decided to pursue a co-op. And after we evaluate their eligibility criteria, most of them, like 272, they were approved for a co-op. And of these 272, 161 completed at least 1 co-op term. As you see, the numbers go, so there is a very smooth, like the numbers go down. However, this is because, as we mentioned before, co-op is an option for our students. Some students may decide not to do co-op, they pursue employment while they are in the program, as Andrea mentioned before, as a source of income. However, students can decide. At the beginning, we measure eligibility criteria for each student who decides to do a co-op, and this usually happens in the fall term. However, students can join later on as well if they change their mind and they still want to do a co-op. So of the 161 students who decide to do a co-op, they can either do 1 or 2, to a max of 2 co-op, or 1 practicum or 1 co-op. Here we have a list of employers who have hired our students for co-op. So as you see, there is a mixture of for-profit and non-for-profit sector. Our students are hired by government of Ontario, government of Canada, almost all the 5 big banks, different financial institutions. You'll see in the government of Ontario, our students are placed in different departments within the government. We have post-secondary education within UFT and other post-secondary educations within Ontario. And you can see our students can work in the retail industry and in the different non-for-profit organizations. We have one more slide with employers, and as you get access to the slides, I'll strongly advise you can start looking for these organizations. Deciding to do a co-op, it's a great step forward, and I'm sure that as you'll have in your letter of interest, there is you already have made up your mind what your career is going to be. So it's important to more dive and see which institutions you want to work with. So this couple of slides gives you a sense of where our students get co-op, and it is very frequent that where students complete their co-op, that may be their employer after graduation. So pay very careful attention to that. So here are a few of the sectors and job titles that are under each, under three of the main kind of industries that our students are hired: government, banks, and universities. So you'll see a lot of data and policy analytics and system analyst and UX experiences, archives, and data analyst developer, and UX specialist intern. So these are some of the positions, but this is not limited to these jobs. What I will strongly advise you, in addition to looking at institutions that you want to work with, look for different job titles. And sometimes job titles may look different from one position to another, but pay attention to the job description, where you have more details of the skills. That's the part that is most important for you to know what skills you have to bring in these positions, soft skills and hard skills, and your education background. And this slide takes us to the different positions you can fill in the field upon graduation, which kind of aligns a little bit with the positions that you'll do while you are completing your co-op. It can it varies from librarian, social media strategist, data scientist, user experience consultant, business analyst, knowledge management analyst, digital archivist, and information privacy analyst, and so on and so forth. This slide gives a little bit of information, very high level, where our students get employed. And not all students complete the survey, so please take this data as, don't follow the numbers that I just shared with you before, but in general, our students, you can see 75 of our students who complete their master's program, they get full-time employment. And we're moving on to the Master of Museum Studies internship. So this is the work integrated learning component within the Master of Museum Studies. So if you decide that you want to pursue an internship in the winter term, you are going to enroll in the Emerging Professional Preparation course. And for MMSD, internship can look like a minimum of 8 weeks. Usually students go more than that. They can have a full summer internship, but the minimum requirement is 8 weeks. It can be paid or unpaid, and it can be full-time or part-time, as depends on the weeks, because you can spread that those 8 weeks within the summer term. We aim that students find paid internships. However, combination of both, it's always has happened. Last year, for example, in 2023, we had an average half and half were paid and half unpaid. And the unpaid, sometimes the dollar value associated with an internship is not as important as the experience that you are getting. So that's why we have students who still pursue an unpaid internship, because of the experience that they want to gain, and that will open more doors upon their graduation. And our students, they get internships in a variety of institutions like museum, galleries, and the government institutions. And on these slides, you'll get a sense of which institutions our students completed a summer internship, and the positions that they have been working at. So you'll see there is a combination of mostly is dominated by the non-for-profit. As you know, museums are part of the non-for-profit sector, and conservations and museums are part of the different municipalities within Ontario. So we had some students who went for international placements, like the Venice one. So those are internships that students have their own desire and their own interest to explore those areas. So you are free to look for internship. At the same time, this is valid for both MI and MMSD. We do have our in our internal database called Simplicity, where we post positions that are posted by us, but also by employers who want to hire faculty formation students. So we have a group of employers, very solid employers, well-known, who they have a high interest to hire faculty formation students, and they actively post positions in our internal database. Here we have, in this chart, you'll get a sense of where our Master of Museum Studies students are hired. And as you see, it aligns very well with the knowledge and the masters they are completing in GLAM, art museum galleries, in local history museums, and natural history and anthropology museums. At the same time, this, beside museums, they can work, as you saw before as well, in institutions that are related to a municipality, or a small percentage to private collections as well. And here are the career outcomes for Master of Museum Studies. As you see in this chart, we have around 38% who have librarianship, and this is because of the combined degree program. And we have followed by other positions and work areas such as in communication, collection management, exhibition in education institutions, and conservation and research and policy. A lot of students pursue a career in management as well. Okay, so that's all from the careers, and I'll be happy to answer any questions in the chat.
Great, thank you very much. So as I mentioned before, this is our contact information. So I'm just figuring out how to put my camera back on. Just give me 1 second. Oops. There. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm back. So this is our contact information. What I will do is what we can do is go through some of the questions that we have been receiving in the chat, just so everybody has all the information in case you don't want to go through the chat and look at the answered questions. There are some career questions here if Esmeralda wants to stay on and answer any of them.
Sorry, before you go ahead, Andrea, we do have Kai in the chat if he wants to go ahead and talk about his student experience very shortly.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Kai, if you'd like to come on, all the floor is yours.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for coming to our virtual information session. And then thank you for your interest in our program. My name is Kai. I'm the first year MI student in this I faculty. I'm doing this program in a part-time basis. My concentration is human-centered data science. This is my second semester. So I want to share my study experience at iSchool from 3 perspectives. The first one is academic experiences. A little bit background about me. I come from like policy analysis and economic backgrounds, which means that I don't have that much coding experience before coming to the iSchool. So I was a little bit like afraid of the course workload and such. If you guys are in the same shoes, don't worry. This is the perfect place for you to keep challenging yourself, studying something which is really useful in terms of the future career development. Last semester, I was taking 2 classes. The one is programming in programming in Python, and the other one is Introduction to Data Science. I love our courses at our faculty so much. It's because it's very well organized. We have tons of supports. Besides the easy access to our professors and instructors' office hours and such. We also have an online platform which is called Piazza under the Canvas. We have so many TAs that is next to us, it's very reachable, it's very accessible. Besides that, we also have graders to our assignments. We also have like academic support like services at our faculty, which are all very helpful for me, especially as I said, I don't have that much coding experiences. And then our professors at our school is very experienced in teaching in delivering courses to us. What I mean is they will break down a huge like task into very doable small like individual assignments along the way, like within the semester. So doing that, you know, like it helps me to ease my nerve, right? And also gives me a sense like to keep constantly reflecting what I have learned, like in terms of like different skill sets. So that's my academic experiences studying in the for my program. Secondly, I want to share my experience in terms of the extracurricular and community-based yeah. So I would say I feel a sense of belonging at iSchool. At iSchool, we have so many social events that kind of like not only like connects us with other concentration, with other like degree programs like MI and MMST, but also we also have very like useful events such for our career development, such as that I feel beneficial about is our alumni association events. We could there will be like alumni events at night in the evening that we will connect with our past alumni who have been working in the industries these days, and then they are very helpful and informative. And then I see them as like a like casual mentor resources that they will give us like they will share no qualms of like information about how to get a job, how to get an internship, how to get a co-op from their personal like perspectives. So which I find very beneficial. And we also have like movie nights for socializing within in our cohorts, because study is not just like 100% of our life. We also need our like social life, right? Besides our school, we also have like each semester towards the end in our final revision week, we have like hot chocolate, you know, sessions, and also pat with the dog sessions, which I think like is also very helpful for our like busy exam cramping schedules. Uh, Last but not least, in terms of career development, as an MI first year student, I'm still trying to figure out my career trajectories. Um, what I find useful is like keep talking to your faculties. Our faculties are very, very nice. I got a lot of like very useful and career development suggestions coming from the course instructors that I'm taking right now. This semester, I'm taking some theoretical courses. So this is another thing that I like about our program is a very balanced program in terms of programming and also theory. So not only we can like program and then do coding, but also we will understand where does the information system come from, where the system thinking lies in our coding projects. So I also attended some of our like careers office workshops in terms of crafting our resume and how to prepare for internship and co-op like interviews that I find very informative. I hope my sharing will be somehow like informative to you guys. I will be in the breakout rooms if you have any other questions for me later on. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you so much. So yes, you could talk a bit more with Kai afterwards in the breakout session if you'd like to. So there are just some common questions I want to make sure I get answered here because it is coming up a lot in the Q&A section. So first, I want to talk about part-time and full-time status. So the Masters of Information can be completed on a full-time or part-time basis. The Masters of Museum Studies is full-time only. But in terms of the way it works, so a full course load for full-time students is 4 courses per term. For part-time students, the maximum course load is 2 courses per term. So a year is fall, winter, and summer is an optional term. So you could choose to do courses over the summer if you would like to. Part-time students have up to 6 years to complete the degree, but most don't take that long. They usually take around 3 to 3.5 years to complete the program. And full-time students have up to 3 years to complete the degree. So for CDP students, you are applying to both programs separately. So you do have to submit an application to the MI program and to the Museum Studies program separately, but you don't have to necessarily duplicate the supplementary documents. So for the statement of interest, the first part of your statement is the only part that would essentially be different. So what are your goals? Why are you interested in the program? So the first part should focus on your interest in the MI program and then your interest in the Museum Studies program. The second half, so the mandatory and reflective questions, can be the same for both applications. Your references, you only need 2 references, so they can be the exact same references, but they do have to upload them twice to each application, but they don't have to write separate references for you. They can just be the same ones. The other questions, common questions that I'm getting, I'm just trying to remember here, for tuition cost. So the tuition cost that I had, I'm just going to go back to the screen here. So the tuition listed on this screen is for 1 year of the program. As I mentioned, the program, actually, I'm not sure I mentioned, the program is 2 years full time. So that would be the cost of the program. So it's roughly around, for domestic students, 12,000. It would be double that amount. So it would be roughly around 25,000 is what you're looking for the entire cost of the program as a domestic student. So again, you can pay half in the fall, half in the winter. Part-time students, again, are paying that exact amount, same amount, just spread over a longer period of time, is how that would work. So hopefully that makes more sense there. So again, this cost is based on 2023-2024 amounts. The Student Accounts Office will release new amounts for the following year, usually around July, but this kind of gives you a rough idea of what the cost will be, and it'll be roughly around the same cost. There are questions for careers here. Can you talk about the difference between a co-op and a practicum?
I answered the question, but I can give a more broader answer as well. So I did share the link for the faculty information website in terms of co-op eligibility criteria. And the difference between the practicum, it's a huge difference. So when you do a co-op, in a nutshell, you'll be considered the employee of the organization. So you have been approved for co-op, and during that 1 term or 2 terms, if it's an 8 months, you'll be employed and you'll be in the payroll of the employee. So that's a huge difference, because you are building a real work-life experience, even though you'll be an intern in that organization. In terms of academic credits, it's the same. Practicum and co-op weight 0.5 credits. For the practicum, the enrollment process differs a little bit. For practicum, we at Career Services, we have our external facing team who outreach and find opportunities for students to complete the practicum. In terms of time as well, practicum is only 105 hours. So with practicum, we'll have these projects or positions that our employers are going to post, and those will be available to students, and students will choose or let's say enroll in the practicum that they choose. So the practicum is only 105 hours, and it will be this year we offered in the winter term, which may be of the 2nd year, and maybe the practice for the new cohort that you will be part as well for next year. So it's completely both work experiential learning opportunities. However, two different, let's say, pathways.
Thank you. What other questions do we have? So portfolio is not required for admission purposes. If you do still wish to submit a portfolio, you can provide a link in your resume. That would be the best place to include it. But again, it is not it's not required for admission purposes. There is a question here about CDP students applying for talent. So with the talent program, this is really ideal for students who have an interest in academic libraries. So it is a great opportunity if your interest does lie within that field. Students might be interested in special libraries and public libraries. The talent is really meant for students who want to gain further experience within the academic library field. So certainly if that is what you're interested in, then I highly recommend applying to the talent opportunities. Talent opportunities are open for round 1 students right now, so you should have received an email. What I do want to actually make mention of now that I see a talent question come up is talent this year. So the good news is no longer now just restricted to LIS and ARM students. It is now open to all students in all concentrations. So if talent is something you think you're interested in, so basically this is a partnership that we have with UTL, with the University of Toronto libraries, and we have over 44 different libraries on campus, and they often post approximately about 15 positions a year, and it is a great internship opportunity if you're interested in that. So please consider applying. So round 1 is specifically open to Black and Indigenous students, and then round 2 will open up around the end of February. So keep an eye out on your email for round 2 postings. There's a question here about courses. So yes, we are an in-person institution. So courses will be in person, and we do require students to be here physically. There may be a couple courses a year that are offered virtually or hybrid, but for the most part, you will be required to be here in person. Yes, courses are offered in the summer. As I mentioned, summer is an optional term, but you could certainly take courses in the summer. Yes, the program is considered a STEM program. No, so if you complete a co-op or a practicum, it does not extend the length of your program. So both of those are for credit, so they do count towards the required credits needed to graduate from the program. So for the MI program, you do have to complete 8.0 FCEs, or which is equivalent to 16 half courses. So both those opportunities count towards those credit requirements. No, there is no increased amount of talent positions. It'll still be 15 positions a year. It's just now we're not restricting students from the LIS and ARM concentration to apply. It'll be open to all. I think I saw a question about a reference here. It keeps jumping, sorry. I think it was something, sorry, I just lost it because it keeps jumping, but I think it had something to do with whether or not the reference is acceptable if it comes from a retired professional or someone not currently working. That is perfectly acceptable. They do not need to be currently working at the institution. Okay, so what we can do is, before the next session is going to start shortly. So if we want, we could take you can take a short break before the next session gets started. Don't worry, you will still have an opportunity to ask questions throughout the event today, and we will still work on answering those questions